And welcome back. Today we're on the second. 1 second. Welcome back to the. I think we're day 6 now. Ravnica Allegiance Spoilers. We got a lot of spoilers that came out yesterday, surprisingly, earlier today, and we got the other 2 mythics. Finally, we got the other 2 mythics revealed. This one, I'm not gonna do the ones I actually have headlining the photo first. I'm just gonna go in order. Shark to crab. They made sharktopus, but they said, "Oh no, a shark octopus isn't enough. We got to add a crab in there." Well, I've heard some people say, "Oh, a shamble shark grew up," and that's not an accurate description. They said, shamble shark needed some octopus. A 4/4 blue-green Simic colors and 2 extra mana, so 4 current mana cost for a 4/4. Adapt 1, same mana cost. 2 Simic, or 1 Simic and 2 of any color, so 4. Whenever this creature, or whenever 1 or more +1/+1 counters are put on Sharto Crab, tap target creature an opponent controls. That creature does untap during the controller's next untap step. This thing is a beast, and not just because it is a giant monster that drops as a 4/4 for 4 on turn 4, which is just value, which is just solid stats right there. You can then, next turn, if you want to, turn it into a 5/5. You're already ahead of the curve pretty much at that point. And you're tapping something down, meaning as long as your opponent doesn't have more creatures, or the creatures they have are already taken care of in some capacity, this thing's probably going to be getting a hit in. This thing's dangerous, especially with cards that move +1 counters around, which we have. Things that distribute +1 counters, which I'm certain we also have. We've already seen some. We'll see some more. This card is scary good. This is very good, and it's only uncommon. That's the thing. It makes sense though that why it actually would be an uncommon. Its adapt cost is only 1, or its adapt cost is reasonable, but the adapt it gets is just 1. It's not turning into anything bigger than a 5/5. There we go. If you're returning something into maybe a 6/6 or beyond that, and maybe had a keyword on it, then it would be a rare card. But as it stands, uncommon. This card's great. If I can get multiple copies, you better believe I'll be running them. Because it's a great curve filler. That's the thing. It's a really solid creature in the curve, like a 4 mana curve right there. So yeah, I really like it. Mirror March is 1 red, 5 main color for a rare enchantment. Whenever a non-token creature enters the battlefield under your control, flip a coin until you lose a flip. For each flip you won, create a token that's a copy of that creature has haste, and you exile it at the beginning of the end step. I like where this card's. I also like the artwork. The artwork's just great. Guy reaching in his mirror, just infinite mirrors, basically. I like what this card's trying to go for. However, this is a trap. This is definitely a trap, because there might be times where you could flip it through like 3 or 4 times. You might you'll call it right and get like 4 tokens, and then there'll be times where you're not going to call it right once. So, and at 6 mana, that's not necessarily an investment you want to be making. I like it. I like it because I'm a casual player first and foremost. But when I think of like the limited environments like Sealed or the pre-releases, hell, even Commander to some degree. I don't play Standard or Modern or anything like that, or Legacy. Usual puppy. So when I'm thinking from the standpoint of how I play, I could probably work this into a casual deck, no problem. The other decks, maybe a Commander deck, could see some fun with this. Otherwise, if I pull this and I'm somehow in red in the pre-release, I probably won't be using it, because really, that's the thing. It's going to drop down and it's not going to do anything. And it may not do anything. That's the problem. It's too finicky. Even for me, it can have fun with these. Now, if I end up pulling this card, I'll put it in a deck I have or make a deck with it. I'm certain I will, but terms of Sealed, nah. Scrabbling Claws is 1 of any color for an uncommon artifact. Tap this card, exile a card from an opponent's or a player's graveyard, and then you can pay 1 and sacrifice this card, exile a target card from a graveyard, and draw a card. So basically, you're just going to be milling your opponent's graveyard. If you're up against someone who's got like Aftermath or Flashback or anything that involves a graveyard hate, this will be an okay card. And if you so choose, you can then pay 1, exile another card from a graveyard, and draw a card. It's got a little bit of value to it. In fact, at 1 mana, this is not a bad card for any limited deck, like pre-release deck, to be running just as a little one-up to fill in your like 23rd or 24th or 26th spot, or 26th, 22nd or 23rd. Usually I run about 17, 16 lands, so that's usually how you should go. Font of Agonies, 1 black. One thing I really like about this card is the flavor text is a line from Nico Bolas himself. This is the first legitimate line, Bolas himself being introduced into the Ravnica block so far. It technically isn't a block anymore, but still. But anyway, Font of Agonies is 1 black for a rare enchantment. Whenever you pay life, you may put that many blood counters on Font of Agonies, and then you pay 1 black and 1 of a color to remove 4 blood counters from Font of Agonies, destroy target creature. See, I can get why this exists, because there's a lot of cards that make you pay life to get an effect like draw cards, or get extra mana, or bring out creatures, or just, does damage for one thing or another. There's a lot of cards that do that in black. I've never been a player who likes doing that, but I can see particularly at 1 mana, I can see the value in this card. Just because I don't like a way a type of mechanic works doesn't mean I can't understand why people would like it and can't get behind it. I can understand this card and get behind it for the people who enjoy it. It's not something I would probably use, but I don't usually run decks that do damage to myself, so. Plaza Harmony, rare land, enters the battlefield. You gain, if you control 2 or more gates, you gain 3 life. You can tap and add 1 colorless mana, or tap and add 1 mana of any color that a gate you control would produce. Another card that'll be going in the gate deck that I make. So, yeah, if you're running gates, okay, great. Woohoo. If you're not, it's not doing anything besides being a colorless mana producer. And in a format with a lot of multicolor cards, colorless don't count, or colorless don't cut it, I should say. Cindervines, 1 red, 1 black, green. Sorry, 1 red, 1 green for an enchantment. I'm seeing a lot of low casting enchantments here. So for enchantment, rare. Whenever an opponent casts a non-creature spell, it deals 1 damage to that player. You can also pay 1, sacrifice this card, destroy target artifact or enchantment, and deal 2 damage to that permanent's controller. So essentially, this is just a card that's going to be damaging your opponent. If you can get maybe a couple copies, hell, if you can just get 2 copies, you'll immediately have at least 2 damage per non-creature spell cast, plus you can target their artifact or enchantment. So it's solid. It's a good card. It's definitely going to cause your opponent to hesitate while casting some things, unless they're playing a non-creature spell that's going to gain them life, or just gaining a lot of life in general in the game, in which case then it's not going to really matter. Gates Ablaze, 1 red, 2 of any color for a sorcery, uncommon, deals X damage to each creature where X is the number of gates you control. Another card going in the gate deck. I mean, realistically, you're probably not going to be running any more than 2 or 3 gates of any particular for any of any particular guild or whatever. I mean, if you're in Tricolor, you might have 4. But yeah, realistically, you might be like it's a Pyroclasm realistically, so you're doing maybe 2 damage across the board, which still isn't bad. It's at 3 mana. It's just a slightly more expensive Pyroclasm, which is still a really good card. I love Pyroclasms. Clan Guildmage is 1 red, 1 Gruul colors. Human Shaman, uncommon, 2/2. Tap a red in any color in this card. Target creature can't block this turn. Or if you pay 1 green, 2 of any color, you can tap this card, and target land you control becomes a 4/4 elemental creature with haste until the end of turn and is still a land. This is a solid Guildmage for the kind of deck you're going to be running. Arguably, it might be the best, all things considered, because Gruul has a lot of heavy-duty creatures and power and things along those lines. So, making a creature unable to block is probably going to become very useful, and even making a target land a creature, if you are able to wipe their board, is going to be pretty useful. So it's a good card. Glass of the Guild. Yeah, I was right on that. Glass of the Guild Pack. So I'm guessing it's like a stained glass window, I'm guessing. 2 of any color for a rare artifact. Multicolored creatures you control get +1/+1. The balance of power sustains the city. No faction is placed above any other. It's a good system. Well, that's going to go to shit. They'll become a certain dragon's arrival. and no guilds placed above other. Maybe in lore that makes sense, but in a real world, a couple guilds have had some unfair advantages over others. Did you? Oh, 1 second. Presto, it's a bone. So yeah, Skewer the Critics. I just like Skewer the Critics as a name. Like what every reviewer online would love to do. What a red, 2 of any color for a sorcery, common, spectacle cost of 1 or 1 red. Deals 3 damage to any target. So essentially, in the right context, it's almost a lightning bolt. It's just not quite there because it's not instant. Still good. Doman's Acuity, 1 blue. Orzhov in 1 of any color, so 3 altogether. Enchantment, uncommon. Enters the battlefield, you gain 2 life and draw a card, and whenever you cast an instant spell during your main phase, you return this card to your hand. Essentially, it's trying to get you to bounce it back each turn, and so you can replay it to gain 2 life and draw a card. Which in and of itself, if you just go by the in and of itself, if you just go by the standard effect, it's not for 3 mana. That's not bad. Especially late in the game when you probably got like maybe 7 or 8 mana and maybe don't have big things. That's not a bad card. Just, plop and gain a little extra life, draw cards, go through your options a bit. That's not bad at all. And it does reward you for doing the addendum. Now, the only way it could really see this being beneficial is maybe having 2, maybe not 4. I wouldn't say run 4 of these, but maybe 2 in the deck. 2 to 3 at most. 3 would be pushing it, but maybe if you have multiples of these on the field, it's just casting an instant spell too. That's the real kicker there. But still, and then actually jumping them back to your hand. So yeah, it's not the worst card in the world. I like what it's trying to go for. Unfortunately, Addendum as a mechanic just isn't that good. Orzhov Imposer, 1 black, 1 of any color for a 1/2 Death Touch Afterlife Human Rogue uncommon. It's a 1/2 for 2 with Afterlife 1, and it has Death Touch. This thing is designed to trade and deal damage. You're just going to probably keep swinging in with this, honestly. Scourge Mark is 1 black, 1 red, 1 of any color for an instant common. Deals 2 damage to target creature, and if that creature would die this turn, exile it. It is literally a Magma Spray, just a little bit stronger, or a little stronger, a little bit more expensive. Which is fine. Sorry, I heard something outside. I think there's just neighbors outside, which is weird because it's like almost quarter after 10 at night. Hero of Precinct 1, 1 of any color in a white for a 2/2 human warrior rare. Whenever you cast a multicolored spell, create a 1/1 white human creature token. There. Stop knocking your bone. God, stop knocking the bone around. Yeah, so anyway, you distracted me. The thing is, you're gonna need to at least be in white, and I have no idea how many multicolor spells you're really gonna be running. So, I'll be honest, I've never been a big fan of these types of cards. But I mean, for what it's worth, you'll be running multicolor spells, so you'll probably get the effect off a couple times. And it's a bear either way, so it's a bear with benefit. So you'll play it. I mean, there's nothing wrong with playing it. I just don't know how often you'll get the effect off. Lumbering Battlement. 1 white, 4 of any color for a 4/5 beast rare vigilance. When it enters the battlefield, exile any number of other non-token creatures you control until it leaves the battlefield, and it gains +2/+2 for each card exiled with it. No, that +2/+2 is permanent. That is a permanent gain until this card leaves the battlefield. Should also note though that you cannot use tokens, and it's basically temporary exile. Then they'll come back. Now, with that said, what's the realistic size you'll get this thing to? A 6/7, maybe an 8/9, and that is with vigilance, and that's for 5 mana. That's not a bad. Even for just removing 1, it's not bad. But if you have something on the field, if your option is to have a better field, a bigger field than just 1 big creature, you might be have a problem, because don't recall. It doesn't say may. This says exile any number. So Yeah, I mean, I like it. It's a big beefy thing, and it has vigilance. So if you could add trample on there, you probably got a winner on your hand. But I don't know, something about it doesn't sit 100% well with me. I like it, but something's not clicking all the way for me. Priest of Forgotten Gods. What? She worshipped the Nephilim. One black, one of any color for a 1/2 human cleric rare. You can tap this card, sacrifice 2 other creatures. Any number of target players each lose 2 life and sacrifice a creature, and you add 2 black mana and draw a card. There's a lot going on, and you know it's a good card. The 2 creature cost though is steep. That is, I mean, with Afterlife, not so steep. You'll probably get the effect off at least once or twice, but it's still kind of steep. It is. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. It is a bit. 2 creatures is a bit much. Now, if you've got some mass token production, then have at it. And again, I'm just thinking in terms of like the way I play it. I'm sure there are plenty of decks that produce enough creatures that this thing is just gonna be. You'll be dandy with this. It's not rare. It's not a legendary either, so have as many as you want on the field. It's good. It's good. I just again that 2 creature cost, man, even with Afterlife in this set is a bit steep. Incubation Druid is 1 green, 1 of any color for a 0/2 Elf Druid rare. Tap and add 1 mana any type that of a land you control could produce. If Incubation Druid has +1 counter on it, add 3 mana of that type instead, and has adapt 5, 2 green, 3 of any color. Adapt 5. Adapt 3 for 5 mana is what I meant, which would means it turns into a 3/5 when you adapt it. And look, a 0/2 that gives you a mana for 2 mana, that's usable. It gives you mana, especially in green. Mana acceleration, easy. The adapt's a little pricey, but the minute you do that, you're now ramping up to 3 mana this thing can produce, which will help you play bigger shit in the future really quick. I like to think it's a different. It's a evolved. It's a later version of Gear Sage. I can never remember how that's pronounced. If that's Sage from Gatecrash. Ultimately, yeah, I like it. I definitely would use it. Definitely, you want to use it for at least 1 or 2, as it is a mana producer, and mana producers are usually good. Tome of the Guild Pack is 5 of any color. For a rare artifact, whenever you cast a multicolor spell, draw a card, and you can tap and add 1 mana of any color. Makes sense why this is 5. Any lower, and it probably would be too good. I mean, at 1, there's no way in hell this card's wouldn't be mythic. At 2, still would be mythic. At 3, then you're in rare territory, but that would still be a very good card for 3. 4, you might have been able to bump it to 4, but 5 makes sense. They usually have cards like this at the 5 mana cost. Ultimately, though, I mean, I wish it were cheaper, but it's a good card. Ultimately, overall, it's a good card. Captive Audience, last 2, and the last 2, wouldn't you know it, are mythic rares. And rounding this out just in time. Captive Audience is Rakdos colors plus 5 extra mana, so 7 altogether for an enchantment rare. But when it enters the battlefield, under control of an opponent of your choice. And at the beginning of your upkeep, i.e. your opponent's upkeep, choose one that hasn't been chosen. Your life total becomes 4. Discard your hand. Each opponent creates 5 2/2 black zombie creature tokens. Oh man, this is now the only thing that is unfortunate is the fact that it says choose one that has a token, which means all 3 are going to be chosen, but only once. After 3 turns, this card is pretty much just a dead card sitting on the field. But that being said, and you have to pay 7 mana, and then nothing happens initially when you play it. Obviously, something will happen the turn afterwards. I mean, if someone plays this against me, I'm probably going to be pretty screwed. I basically have to think, what is the best course of action? Probably would be this, assuming my board state allows it, is probably the zombies. So it's a good card. It's just expensive as hell at 7 mana. Biogenic Ooze is our last card. It's the Mythic Rare Green. 2 green, 3 of any color for a 2/2 Mythic Ooze. When it enters the battlefield, you create another 2/2 Ooze creature token. And at the beginning of each end step, put a 1/1 counter on each Ooze you control. You may pay 3 green and 1 of any color to create a 2/2 Ooze creature token. So, yeah, this thing is kind of nuts. Because unless they're going to play some sort of burn spell or counter it, if they don't counter it, they got to play a burn spell because you can't attack with it first turn, and you already got 2 body between 5 mana, and it's going to become 3/3s by the entrance. You already got 6 power and toughness between 2 mana, and that's gonna get crazy fast. You'll need to deal with this card immediately. Yeah, this thing is kind of nuts, if we're gonna be honest, and I love every minute of it. This is my kind of creature right here, just crazy shenanigans happening. Ultimately, yeah, good card. A lot of good stuff came out today. Not everything I was in love with, but most of it I'm digging. Most of the stuff, even for like the colors that I don't play as often, like white black. I'm liking a lot of stuff I'm seeing out of white black. Rakdos, good stuff out of Rakdos. Simic, I'm loving everything I'm seeing out of Simic. Gruul's got some great stuff to it. Orzhov's got some good stuff too, but I'll say Orzhov's probably got the least amount of stuff I like. But anyway, that's my thoughts on the cards today. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Like, comment, share, subscribe. As always, if you want us to review something, put in the comments below. Let us know. We'll do a review of it at some point. Ideas of who to win, Star Wars, superhero, magic, what if, anything I do on the channel. Put that in the comments below. Let me know. I'll get to that at some point. But thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed.